All right. Welcome, 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 welcome. So glad to have you here today. This is the day, right? That we tell the truth. Time to Tell the Truth weekly series that we're here, and we're excited to have you here to be a part of it. We've been doing this for some time. We're at almost at 52 weeks, which is what we started out. That was our goal to go to 52 weeks, and we're about, I think this is number 49. So listen, you remember that old show back in the day, To Tell the Truth? People got up and somebody was telling the truth and somebody wasn't telling the truth. But this is what we're doing here as it relates to our health and our wellness. So sit back, relax. Definitely, after this is over, if you feel led and you want to share this with anyone else, hit that share, hit that subscribe button, and let's get this word out one person at a time. Now, for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Dr. Rosalind Shaw Belt. Most people call me Dr. Roz for short, and I am the CEO of Dream to Life Productions and Ministry. I'm a wife, a musician, do a lot of other things that I've been blessed to do over a period of time. But what's important right now is my ability to be a health and wellness coach. Yes, I do have some credentials, certificate of completion with Akana, as a certified Akanapreneur and lifestyle consultant, as well as with Dr. Eric Prince, naturopathic doctor, who has been my mentor as it relates to health and wellness. So today's subject, we've talked about a lot of different things. So that's why I encourage you to go back to the entire playlist on YouTube to check out anything else that you want to know about. But today we're going to talk about unhealthy, healthy foods. Now, that's kind of a little tongue twister, because when we work hard in our lives to eat healthy, what I'm going to show you today is sometimes, even though we're doing that, or we think we're doing that, there are literally tons of healthy foods that are unhealthy.
This isn't even cranberry juice. It's cranberry juice cocktail. It's all sugar.
I want to lose 3 pounds.
We're all trying to be healthy. We know more than ever about what goes into our food and where it comes from. We have said no to high sugar sodas. We have turned our backs on fast food. We have shaken our heads at candy and sweets. We are on a path to living healthy, and we are going to get there no matter what stands in our way. But beware, because all around you are foods that are deceptive. They'll try to trick you into eating them, promising that they are nutritious and healthy. Don't believe a word they say, because it's not true. These foods are out to get you, and you can't let them. So stay hungry and stay alert.
So that's what we're going to do. We're going to stay hungry and stay alert. We've got to be alert, because what we don't know literally is destroying us, because we're destroyed for what? The lack
This
of.
isn't even cranberry.
So there's a deception. I mean, somebody said, what, we've been hoodwinked. We've been bamboozled, right? There's a deception behind the healthy food labels, and it's all about marketing. See, food marketing tactics, they've evolved to target our increasing desire for healthier options, because if you're like myself, you're watching this because you have a desire for healthier options in your life. You're taking control of your body. You're taking control of your life. However, what appears healthy on the surface often conceals a different reality beneath a carefully crafted messaging. And hopefully this presentation is going to examine how those food companies are exploiting us. And then because we're health conscious, they're misleading us through labeling practices. So we'll start here. We'll start with understanding that it's about marketing, because marketing is powerful, but it also can be misleading. As I said, food companies, they know what's going on. They know people want to eat healthy. They know people are thinking about eating healthy. People want to get their life back. So they use buzzwords on packages like all natural. How many of you go to the store and you're looking for something that says all natural or low fat or whole grains, made with whole grains, or here's that word, organic? You're not looking to see if that product is loaded with sugar, refined flour, or salt. So what are they doing? They're selling the idea of health, not actual health. Think about that word low fat. It's a deception. Now, what you want to think is that when a product is labeled low fat or it's positioned as a healthier alternative that's going to help with weight management and heart health, right? That's what we want to think. But the reality is when fat is removed, something must replace it to maintain flavor and texture. Now, everybody that knows me knows I don't like things that don't taste good. So just because it says low fat, to make it still taste good, typically they add some sugar, they add some salt, or they add some chemical additives. And that's often making the product less healthy than even its full fat counterpart. I mean, sometimes if you look at the packaging correctly, you might as well go ahead and eat the real deal. Because a low fat flavored yogurt can contain up to 7 teaspoons of added sugar, more than some of the desserts. Absolutely amazing.
Yogurt. Now, commercially bought, store-bought yogurt often doesn't have the healthy strains of those probiotics that you are actually looking for in terms of having, a good microbiome. So this is something that, there's often sugars in there, even worse, artificial sweeteners that are in yogurts. And if it's not from a grass-fed cow, so if it's not an organic grass-fed product, then there are other concerns with what may be, what that cow was eating that you will now be ingesting, or what was given to that cow in terms of antibiotics and things to keep it healthy. So maybe not the healthiest type of dairy product. So
Now, whoever thought about that? Whoever thought about, I'm eating what the cow is eating, right? Then you got this term whole grain. Well, that can be misleading. Because the claim is, and this is what we're thinking when we go to the store and we're looking at the box or whatever we're looking at to see that word, I need whole grain. We're thinking that it's made with whole grains. So that suggests what? Nutritional benefits like fiber and vitamins and minerals found in unprocessed grains. But here's that little loophole. Products can claim made with whole grains, even if they contain just minimal whole grain content alongside all of the other refined flours. See, the question is, how much whole grain is in there? See, if they just sprinkle a little whole grain, well, they can claim on the label, on the box, it's a whole grain product. And Harvard School of Public Study found that 69% of products with whole grain claims had more sugar than whole grain ingredients. And see, consumers don't realize that the FDA doesn't regulate the percentage of whole grains required to make this claim. So here's what we have to do. Check the ingredients list. If enriched wheat flour appears before the word whole wheat flour, then the product is primarily made from refined grains, and we're not getting what we think we should be getting. What about that word organic? Oh man, that's the halo effect. That's the key word. If it's organic, it's got to be good, right? And so that term organic refers only to how ingredients were grown or produced, not their nutritional value. Now, this creates a powerful health halo effect where consumers perceive that organic foods as inherently healthier regardless of any nutritional factors. 76% of consumers believe organic products are healthier than conventional ones. Right, they'll pay the extra money just because it says organic. 18 grams of sugar is the average amount in those organic cookies, the same as conventional versions. I mean, if you're going to get it, you might as well go on and just get the real deal, right? Because just because it says organic, it's fooling you. And studies show consumers routinely rate identical products as lower in calories and more nutritious when they're labeled organic. A cognitive bias exploited by marketers. Marketers know this. So I need you to remember, organic sugar is still sugar. Organic white flour is still refined. Food companies are selling the idea of health while often delivering products that contribute to obesity, diabetes, and heart disease.
Egg whites.
Would you like me to make your egg white frittata, Mr. Fader?
Oh,
Have you ever been at breakfast with someone and you see them order an egg white omelet? Isn't it just the most depressing thing you've ever seen? Of course it is. Not only that, but it's not necessarily better for you to only eat egg whites without the yolk. This is how it works. Egg whites have fewer calories than whole eggs. This is true. The yolk typically has a higher amount of fat in it. However, that fat is good for you. It promotes brain health, decreases the risk of heart disease, and can actually help to lower your cholesterol. Not only that, but consuming the fat found in egg yolks can also promote weight loss. Well, what about cholesterol, you might be asking? Again, egg yolks do contain more cholesterol than egg whites, but the cholesterol in egg yolks is the good kind. Studies have shown that the dietary cholesterol in eggs actually decreases the body's natural production of cholesterol. Not only that, but the cholesterol in eggs also does not raise the level of serum cholesterol in the bloodstream, which can lead to heart disease. Overall, if you're going to diet and try to lose weight, don't deny yourself that delicious yolk. It's better for you than you may think.
Wow, that blew me away, guys. I'm telling you, because I've been guilty of ordering those egg whites, thinking that's what I need to do, just not to deal with the cholesterol. And not that I eat them every day. It's not what you do sometime; it's what you do all of the time. So I'm back to eating the whole egg now, right? So we associate certain ingredients or forms with health. So when we think about juice, let me think about juice. There's an illusion. When you go to the grocery store and you buy orange juice or grape juice or grapefruit juice or apple juice, we think in our minds, and here we're thinking it, juice comes from fruit. So we assume it's healthy. People go on juice regimens and they go on juice fasts. But the reality is, without fiber, it's essentially sugar water with some vitamins. And oftentimes it contains as much sugar as drinking a soda, sometimes even more. We're talking about that grocery store bought juice. A 12-ounce serving of apple juice contains 39 grams of sugar, compared to 39 grams in a 12-ounce Coke.
Fruit juices. Who doesn't love fruit? It's naturally sweet and tasty, and it's also good for you. However, fruit can also be messy and inconvenient to transport and keep fresh from home to school, your office, or the gym. As a result, many people, especially parents, reach for fruit juices as a substitute. However, fruit juice is often no better than sodas, according to Robert Lustig, the author of Fat Chance: The Bitter Truth About Sugar. In fact, Lustig says that a glass of 100% orange juice may be worse than a regular soda. A glass of orange juice may contain up to 25 grams of sugar, which is a few grams more than a glass of your average soda.
Wow, that's amazing. See, we just so ignorantly are doing things, and it's a wonder why we can't have the weight loss, we can't have this, why our health issues aren't changing, because we don't recognize what we think we're doing that's healthy is literally unhealthy. We also associate that word veggie. That's a deception. I've bought veggie chips. Yeah, in the straws and in the veggie chips, but they trade on the name to suggest its nutritional value. In reality, they're typically made from potato starch or flour with a vegetable powder for coloring, offering negligible nutritional benefits compared to regular chips.
Veggie chip deception. Those fancy veggie chips that cost more than your monthly streaming subscriptions, they're about as healthy as your ex's personality. These bags have beautiful pictures of fresh vegetables, making you think you're basically eating a salad. But flip that bag around and read the ingredients list. Surprise, it's mostly potato flour and cornstarch, with just enough vegetable powder to legally say, contains vegetables. It's like putting a drop of carrot juice in a swimming pool and calling it carrot water. A serving of these healthy chips has about the same calories and fat as regular potato chips. And those nutrients you think you're getting? Most of them wave goodbye during processing. Companies will proudly announce things like, made with 30% real vegetables. But even if they use real vegetables, the frying process basically destroys any good stuff that was in there. The processing is so intense that by the time these vegetables become chips, they've lost more nutrients than a gym sock in the laundry. Some companies actually struggle to keep these chips looking vegetable-colored. They end up with sad, washed-out versions of green and red that barely hint at their veggie origins. You're basically paying extra for regular chips that went to art school.
chips that went to art school. Oh my God. Oh my God. That ought to be an eye opener. I mean, they got them there. They're making you think just because you saw the word veggie. That's a deception. That's a deception. And the thing is, bottom line, guys, we don't look closely at the labels. See, sugar is disguised, and that's intentional. Companies hide sugars under the aliases like evaporated cane juice, organic brown rice syrup, barley malt, coconut sugar, making products seem less sweet than they are. And some of the healthy granolas contain up to 24 grams of sugar per serving. And we've taught on sugar. We taught about 6 different weeks on sugar, where are you? And how many grams we're supposed to have per serving or in a whole day. Well, that 24 grams, we've already maxed it out. That's nearly as much as just going ahead and getting the candy bar. The refined grain cover-up. It's a cover-up. Wheat bread often contains mostly refined white flour with minimal whole grains. I mean, are you getting this? They can just sprinkle just a little bit on there for them to technically be able to say it's what we think it's going to be to make us healthy. And then the ingredient list, the loophole. The ingredients are listed by weight. So manufacturers split up sugars in multiple forms to push them further down the list, making products appear healthier at a glance. Did you really get what I just said? It's still sugar. Okay, so if it's 24 grams, they give them different names to give this one just 6, and this one has 4, and this one has 2, and they all got different names. And so when you add them all together, you got 24 grams. Studies show that even consumers who claim to read nutrition labels spend an average of just 5 to 7 seconds, because you know what? You're in a hurry at the grocery store in the first place, and you're spending just 5 to 7 seconds scanning through them, not enough time to identify hidden unhealthy ingredients. That's why we suggested get you an app on your phone like Yuka, Y-U-K-A, that can scan that barcode for you and boom, let you know if it's healthy or not healthy and show you why it's not healthy for you, and even the number of grams that it's really on there for with sugar in it.
Granola is made with rolled oat flakes, which sounds innocent enough. However, that's not usually how it's sold or consumed. Once the oil and sweeteners, along with various other substances such as nuts and chocolate, are added to the mix, along with preservatives, a granola bar isn't much better from a candy bar. A single granola bar is loaded with sugar, saturated fat, and sodium. And adding insult to injury, a granola bar is usually much smaller than a standard candy bar. At a comparable size, it may be worse than a candy bar.
Maybe worse than a candy bar. Goodness gracious. And we think we're doing good because we got granola bars. We got them trying to help curb our appetite, right? And the thing is, these trends, they change so fast, but marketing stays in touch, but we don't. See, in the 90s, there was a fat phobia, okay? Companies pushed low-fat foods loaded with sugar and additives to replace the fat. Snackwell's cookies became a billion-dollar brand despite being nutritionally poor. Then in 2000, there was a carb fear. Everybody was talking about carbs. Get your low carbs. Atkins, low-carb diets, that gained popularity, and products marketed net carbs and low carbs that were often high in artificial ingredients and saturated fats. Then in 2010, gluten-free. Okay, now I want to get everything that's gluten-free. The gluten-free market exploded beyond celiac sufferers with heavily processed alternatives, often containing more sugar, more fat, and fewer nutrients than the conventional options. And then in the 2020s, plant-based everything. Okay, that's where we are right now, plant-based everything. Highly processed plant-based alternatives now toot environmental benefits while often containing extensive ingredient lists with questionable nutrient profiles. So we're going to talk even more about that, but you've got to understand, we've got to read the label.
Certain gluten-free products.
Just in case you need it, these are gluten-free.
Thank you.
Totally watching gluten.
Here's a cardinal rule of food. Just because it's gluten-free does not mean it's healthy. Guess what foods are gluten-free? Most potato chips. Guess what else? French fries. One more? Ice cream. All of these foods contain no gluten, but plenty of fat and sugar, which makes them delicious treats, but certainly not foods that should be consumed regularly. There are also plenty of foods out there that are gluten-free substitutes for other foods, but do not be fooled. These are not healthier alternatives. They are simply gluten-free alternatives. For example, gluten-free pizza crust mix is no better for you than regular old gluten-packed pizza crust. The gluten-free option is just there for people who have gluten concerns. You're still getting just as many carbohydrates and sugars as you would be with the regular pizza crust, just none of the gluten. What's bad for you is an excess of carbohydrates, usually found in the foods that also contain gluten. If you're avoiding stuff to stay healthy, it's those.
How many of us have looked for them? We look for the package that says gluten-free. I can't do gluten. Gluten's not good for me. But here's the bottom line. It's all about profit. It's not about health. See, it's all about profit. Convenience is at a cost. See, processed foods offer what consumers crave for: convenience, shelf stability, and affordability. And the average American spends just 37 minutes per day on food preparation, which was in the 1965, 113 minutes. Oh, we're not taking any time in the kitchen now, right? So food companies know this. And so what do? They position the products as healthy shortcuts when they're often nutritionally inferior to whole foods. Research shows that foods marketed with health claims sell 15 to 30% better than identical products without the health claims, regardless of actual nutritional value. The bottom line is, it's not about companies trying to fool you in some nefarious conspiracy. It's simply about profit. If putting a health halo on a product increases sales, they're going to do it. The responsibility ultimately falls on us to look beyond the marketing claims. I hope that after you listen to this, you'll understand that there are marketing claims. So we've got to get smarter in our shopping and understand how to read the food labels as if you were a nutritionist, because you are. You are concerned about your life, your body, your family, and your village. In a world filled with clever marketing and confusing health claims, we've got to learn to read the food labels, and that's our best defense against misleading food packaging. And hopefully in the next few slides, you're going to understand that it will help you cut through the noise and make some truly healthy choices for you and your family. Read the ingredient list, not just the front label. Not just what's on the front, right? Food packages are designed to sell products. They're not designed to inform consumers. That's why they make the writing so small in the first place. Have you ever tried to read it and you need a magnifying glass in the grocery store with you, right? So the packages are designed to sell the products, not to inform you, not to educate you, not to really tell you the truth and nothing but the truth, while the front showcases the claims: natural, wholesome. The truth lies in the ingredient list on the back. And here, remember this, remember these key facts, and I hope you'll write these down or take a picture of this, because they're listed by weight, highest to lowest. So if sugar, refined flour, or oils is in the front or at the top of the list, it's likely not a healthy choice, because it's more of it in it based on what's at the top of the list. Now, don't forget that I just mentioned earlier that sometimes they break up sugar in different names, so you have to add it all up, because if they put it all under one title, it would be near the top. But the key thing is, or what's best for us, is a short list, a short ingredient list. Anything that's got 16 different items, 13 different items, 20 different items is not healthy for you, because somewhere in that there's going to be some sugar, there's going to be some artificial stuff, there's going to be some processed stuff. So the shorter the list, that's why one of our teachers, Dr. Bobby Price, always says one name foods like apple, orange, pear, cucumber, lettuce. You know, those are one name foods, right?
Diet soda.
Just between the two of us, you probably skip the Diet Cokes. They're not healthy.
Woe be to anyone who tries to take Diet Coke away from someone who lives for the stuff. It's so popular that even the president can't seem to live without it. Is it really healthy for you, though? Sure, it may contain 0 calories and be better for you than regular old soda, but that's setting the bar pretty low for calling something healthy. The most unhealthy thing about diet sodas is the addition of aspartame. No, we're not going to peddle the tale that aspartame causes cancer, because the truth is that there is no conclusive link between aspartame and cancer. That's according to the American Cancer Society. However, that's not to say that aspartame can't wreak havoc on your body in other ways. It's been found to increase appetite and to reduce the body's ability to produce insulin. This was shown in lab testing done on rats. The other problem with drinking too much diet soda is that it triggers your brain to expect something sweet when you're eating food. That means that you're likely to develop an aversion to drinking water with your meals. If you're stuck on diet soda and don't know how to get off that horse, try transitioning to sparkling water, even the flavored kind to start. Then you'll eventually lose the craving for sweetness, and you'll be just as happy with an ice-cold club soda.
So listen, we've got to pay attention. We got to pay attention. Look at that label and check. You check for all those added sugars. They're there. They're there. It's everywhere. I did 6 weeks talking about sugars, where they are. Sugars disguised. Manufacturers hide the added sugars behind scientific sounding names. One of the teachings has said if it has an OSE at the end of it, instead of natural sweeteners. Just recently, I made brownies using the pulp of beets, and they taste fantastic. Used dark chocolate for some sweetener and just a little bit of maple syrup. Using natural sweeteners. All contribute to your daily sugar intake regardless of their origin. So when you see these things like cane juice, agave nectar, brown rice syrup, maltodextrin, dextrose, there's that OSE, fruit juice concentrate, run. And then set your sugar limits. Even healthy products like granola bars, yogurt, and smoothies can often contain surprising amounts of added sugar. So we should aim for less than 5 grams of sugar per serving when possible. And for context, 4 grams of sugar equals 1 teaspoon, just in case you didn't know. Look for whole grains. Now, the whole grain guarantee. When shopping for bread, crackers, pasta, or cereal, look specifically for 100% whole grain or whole wheat on the packaging. These contain the entire grain kernel, the bran, the germ, and the endosperm, providing all the fiber and the protein and the nutrients. But here's the marketing trick. Terms like wheat flour, multigrain, or made with whole grains. See, it didn't say whole grain 100%. Often indicates refined grains with a minimal nutritional value. So check that ingredient list. Whole grains should appear first. And then the fiber content. True whole grain products typically contain at least 3 grams of fiber per serving. Higher fiber content generally indicates less processing and better nutritional quality. Somebody needs to run to your cupboard now and start looking at your bread. See what you've got.
Healthy frozen dinners.
But I used to get her lean cuisine. She loved that.
Raise your hand if you're familiar with these 2 words, lean cuisine. Most of you probably have a hand in the air right now. Or not, since we can't see if you raised your hand or not, but we'd wager that phrase brought up some memories of commercials or freezer shelves in the grocery store. See, back in the day, someone had the bright idea of selling healthy frozen dinners, which were supposed to be portion controlled and promote weight loss. However, those meals were a complete and utter scam. Case in point, many of those lean cuisine meals involved pasta. Now, we all love pasta, but there's no denying that it's not great for you, particularly if you're trying to lose weight. In fact, it's one of the first foods doctors will tell you to eliminate if you're trying to shed some pounds. So why did these meals market themselves as healthy when they were the opposite? Well, it was because of that trend we mentioned earlier. They were low in fat. However, what they lacked in fat, they made up for in carbs and sodium. Not to mention the fact that these meals were highly processed. Never a good look for something that is supposed to be healthy.
You know, when I was visiting someone in the hospital the other day and I looked past the food tray, and every single thing in the food tray, and I've done teaching about the hospital food, every single tray was full of processed foods. in the hospital. So we got to watch for these things. Watch for the sodium. Sodium is one of the most overused ingredients in processed foods, even those that are marked as healthy. Excessive sodium consumption is linked to high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. How in the world do you think they keep it in a package? How do you think they keep it in a box? How do you think they keep it in a can? Even when it says healthy. So common high sodium culprits include our canned soups. And who doesn't love, our canned chicken noodle and our chicken and rice and our beef noodle and our beef vegetable in the can? We grew up on that stuff. Frozen meals. We get a busy schedule. We just pop it in the oven. Bam, we're ready to go. Plant-based meat alternatives. Deli meats. Oh, we thought we were doing the right thing because we just did turkey. Packaged snacks. So we've got to choose, because all of those that I just mentioned, that's processed. If it's in a box, a can, if it's in a jar, if it's in a bag, it's processed. That's how it stays on the shelf. It's got to go through the process, a laboratory process. So what we've got to do is choose minimally processed foods, fresh produce. Fruits and vegetables in their natural state provide maximum nutrition with minimal processing. Natural fats, olive oil, avocados, and seeds provide healthy fats with minimal refinement. Whole proteins, eggs, nuts, beans, and sustainable sourced fish and meats offer complete nutrition without the additives. Intact grains, brown rice, quinoa, oats, and other whole grains retain their natural fiber and nutrients. The fewer steps between the farm and the plate, the better. Whole foods don't need ingredient lists or nutrition facts panels because they are a single ingredient food in their natural state.
Is coconut water. Now this is something that's interesting. So coconut water, coconut I love, so the actual flesh of a coconut, fantastic. Coconut oil, love it. The actual water from the coconut, though, tends to be high in deuterium. And in some countries, they actually, and I learned this from my husband, some countries they say, no, don't drink the water because it will not make you be the smartest person. And they were actually right because it has a lot of deuterium, and deuterium is heavy hydrogen. I've got other videos all about deuterium and why you want to make sure that you have less deuterium in your system. Coconut water tends to be high in deuterium, so this is something that a lot of people aren't aware of. So coconut water, no. However, the flesh and the oil is a good thing.
Wow. Uh-oh, I know that just messed with some folk right there, because some of you love your coconut water, right? Mm-hmm.
Okay, and number 5 is the plant-based milks. So things to look for in your almond milk, in your rice milk, in your soy milk, in your oat milk is the gums and the gels that they add in there. The big one is carrageenan that I talk about in other posts as well, and this is derived from sea moss. Sea moss itself is very healthy, but unfortunately when they change its form chemically, it can be very irritating to the gut. And they considered actually removing carrageenan off the market years ago. It was allowed to stay, and not for good reason, because it can cause a lot of problems for people in terms of sensitivity to that carrageenan. So make sure that is not in your nut milks. Ideally, you'll make your own nut milk at home if you really need to do and go that way and you're getting off of dairy, which is a good thing for a lot of people, of course.
Yeah, it's a good thing for almost everybody, right? Allergies almost disappear. I've known people allergies disappear when they get off dairy in all the various forms that it comes in. But you've got to also be aware of those words low fat and fat free. Okay, low fat and fat free. There's a myth. When manufacturers remove the fat, they typically add sugar, they add salt, or they add some kind of thickeners, and they're artificial thickeners to improve the taste and the texture. So in many cases, the full fat version is actually healthier and more satisfying. I mean, if you're not going to be dissatisfied, you got 1 gram different. So, and also regarding your water, guys, drink your water, not your calories. Drink your water, not your calories. Choose whole fruit over fruit juice, because now you're getting the fiber plus the nutrients. Swap the sweetened beverages for water, tea, or sparkling water. And be leery, be wary of smoothies and sport drinks that can contain as much sugar as the soda. Even the natural juices lack fiber and concentrate sugars. Liquid calories don't trigger the same fullness signals as solid food, which makes it easier to overconsume without even realizing it. You were just going to do a glass and now you want the whole picture, right?
Low fat and reduced fat foods.
You want some monkey meat to replace it? No. It's low fat.
We've mentioned it briefly in a couple of the other entries on this list, but this deserves a spot all its own. Back in the late 80s and 1990s, fat became public enemy #1 in the food world. People were so concerned with getting food that didn't have fat in it that they demanded that the foods they used to love suddenly have less fat in them. We're talking cream cheese, yogurt, potato chips, all the foods that need fat to taste good were having it taken out. There's only one problem that anyone who loves to cook knows firsthand. Fat is flavor. So when you take the fat out of foods, you're left with a gaping void of flavorlessness that people will genuinely hate. So what was brought in to fill that hole? Sugar. Yes, that's right. Sugar is low in fat, but it's, sugar. It's unhealthy. It's so bad for you. Sure, if you get too much fat with too little physical activity, then yes, you will gain weight. However, fat can be burned off because it's energy. Sugar, however, gets converted into the kind of fat that sticks around for a long time. Not only that, but refined sugar can lead to serious health problems like diabetes. Low-fat options still exist and are still stocked on store shelves, but people have become more educated on the matter and know that getting something that naturally has more fat is still better than going for the reduced fat option. Remember, moderation is key.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Okay, so let's recognize what's going on. Now here's my tip. Here's my pro tip, right? Shop the perimeter of the store. Some of you know this, right? If you just think about how the store is designed, and it's designed to hit you as soon as you walk in, and put those things on the end cap that you don't need. Nothing healthy is on the end cap. Think about it. Nothing healthy is on the end cap. That's the cap, that's the area of the store that you pass by before you go down the aisle. Nothing healthy out there. Nothing healthy is on that aisle going to the cash register. Nothing healthy. So shop the perimeter of the store, fresh produce section. Go there first. Fill your cart first with colorful fruits and vegetables. Aim to make these at least half of your groceries. You got a certain amount of money to spend? Come on, let's go there. The protein section, fresh, minimally processed proteins like your eggs, your fish, your poultry, and your beans. The dairy section, yes, choose your plain yogurt, your milk, your natural cheeses rather than flavored or processed varieties. The middle aisles, I didn't say you can't go down them, but carefully and selectively for whole grains, beans, nuts, seeds, and frozen produce without the added sauces. And remember, the more food is processed, the more likely it is to contain the additives, preservatives, excessive sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats, regardless of what's on the front talking about a health claim. So we've got to make some swaps. We're going to talk about those swaps, and I've got time to talk about swaps that we need to make because we need healthier alternatives to everyday snacks. Making smarter food choices doesn't mean sacrificing flavor or satisfaction. No, it doesn't have to be nasty. It doesn't have to be blah, a plain with no seasoning. Each swap, you can reduce added sugars, artificial ingredients, and empty calories while still boosting your intake of essential nutrients. Say, for instance, the granola. See, the problem with the store-bought granola is that the commercial granola contains all the sugars, added sugars, preservatives. A single serving can pack up to 15 grams of sugar. That's nearly 4 teaspoons. And these products often use refined sweeteners like high fructose corn syrup or evaporated cane juice and may include unhealthy oils that reduce the nutritional value. But how about making your own homemade trail mix? Combine your raw nuts, your seeds, unsweetened coconut flakes, and a small amount of dark chocolate chips for a protein-rich snack with healthy fats, and antioxidants. What about overnight oats? Mix your rolled oats with chia seeds, unsweetened plant milk, and fresh fruit. Let it sit overnight and have a fiber-rich breakfast with no added sugars. And instead of fruit juice, let's do whole fruit. Enjoy the apples and the oranges and the berries of any seasonal fruit for the same sweet flavor as juice, but without all the fiber intact. Fiber slows sugar absorption, preventing blood sugar spikes and keeping you fuller longer. Infused water. I see this at hotels all the time. Add a sliced lemon into the water. Let it sit there. Infuse the water with cucumber, mint leaves, or berries to water for a refreshing, flavorful drink with minimal calories and no added sugars. And this provides hydration with a hint of natural flavor. I was just recently introduced to taking the watermelon seeds and boiling them and making a tea out of it, straining the seeds, and now you have a flavored tea that is really, really delicious and doesn't require any sugar. And if you know me, you know I always want something sweet. But did you know a 12-ounce glass of orange juice contains the sugar of 3 to 4 whole oranges, but without the beneficial fiber that helps regulate blood sugar levels? And instead of those veggie chips, genuinely nutritious, crunchy snack, despite the healthy sounding name of veggie chip, listen, get you some raw veggies plus some hummus. Crunchy carrots, bell peppers, cucumbers, paired with protein-rich hummus, provides that same fiber, vitamins, and minerals with a satisfying texture. Or roasted chickpeas or kale chips. Homemade alternatives with minimal oil provide protein and nutrients with the same satisfying crunch as those packaged chips. Air-popped popcorn, a whole grain snack with fiber dressed with olive oil and sea salt instead of butter and artificial flavorings.
You're trying to be healthy, sitting down at your favorite restaurant, feeling good about ordering that fancy salad, but that salad might be playing you harder than a casino. Restaurants are masters of deception when it comes to salads. They start with an innocent bed of lettuce, but then the madness begins. First, they dump an avalanche of cheese on top, enough to feed a small village in Wisconsin. Then comes the croutons, basically just tiny pieces of deep-fried bread cubes, trying to disguise themselves as a health food. They add crispy fried chicken strips that have seen more oil than a mechanic's garage, and just when you think it's over, they drown the whole thing in creamy dressing, enough to make a small pond. We're talking about salads that pack 960 calories. That's more than a burger with fries, or like eating 1.5 Big Macs while patting yourself on the back for being healthy. Your brain sees green leaves and thinks healthy choice. Meanwhile, you're basically eating a burger in disguise.
And you know, you think you're doing good because you're at the restaurant and you're adding, you know, you're having that salad first with your meal, right?
All he takes are sodas and desserts. Objection. Unhealthy.
Light salad dressing.
Bit of salad dressing, thanks, love.
Let's get one thing out of the way first. Salads are definitely healthy. If you're eating a big bowl of vegetables, then good for you. However, keeping those salads healthy all depends on what you put on top of them. Is a salad still healthy if it's covered in cheese, croutons, bacon, and ranch dressing? Well, not so much. So surely the solution to unhealthy dressing is to go with the low-fat option, right? Think again, herbivores. Low-fat dressing is lacking in flavor because it's missing a key component, which is the fat. So what does that missing flavor get replaced with? If you said sugar, you're correct. You're way better off just going with the full-fat version. Except even the regular store-bought dressings are not that great for you, since they're also loaded with salt and sugar.
Sweet and salty.
Just slightly less so than the low-fat version. For a truly healthy dressing, just try making your own. It's no more difficult than mixing some vinegar or lemon juice with some nice extra virgin olive oil. You can also flavor it with any herbs or spices that you're into. Not only that, but a homemade dressing is way more likely to impress people. It's something to consider the next time you're making a salad for a crowd.
Salad? How do you make a salad? First, you throw in the whole head of lettuce.
So we can do that. I mean, I just made a ranch dressing when we had just recently had, last night, had the oyster mushrooms, fried oyster mushrooms. And I made the ranch dressing with oat milk and vegan mayo, you know. You make your own, right? Simple homemade dressing. Combine olive oil and vinegar, lemon juice for clean, flavorful dressing without preservatives or added sugar. Add healthy fats like avocado, nuts, or seeds to add the creaminess and satisfaction without any heavy processed dressings. And then if you need some flavor boostings, fresh herbs, citrus zest, or spices to enhance flavor without adding calories or sodium. And I have some of my business partners, they don't need dressing. They use the tomato to give them the dressing. You know, once you cut up the tomatoes and the cucumbers, it creates its own dressing. That's what I understand, right? And when you talk about the yogurt, because we think we're doing well because we get yogurt, right? That flavored yogurt. A single container of flavored yogurt can contain up to 6 teaspoons of added sugar, nearly the recommended daily limit for women and over half of children. Plain Greek yogurt plus natural toppings. Start with protein-rich plain Greek yogurt and add your fresh berries or sliced banana or diced apple. Enhance with a sprinkle of cinnamon or a small drizzle of raw honey for natural sweetness. Dairy-free alternative, unsweetened coconut, almond, or soy yogurt provides probiotics without the lactose. Boost nutrition with chia and flax seeds for omega-3 fatty acids and additional fiber.
Multi-grain chips.
There are no spices. Where are the chips?
Lesson number 1 in eating healthy: avoid chips. Just do it, because there is no way you're going to successfully incorporate them into a healthy diet. Now, you may be about to fire off the question about multi-grain chips. After all, they contain multiple grains. How could they possibly be unhealthy? Well, there's a simple answer to that. While regular corn chips contain corn flour, multi-grain chips include corn flour and white flour. White flour quickly converts to sugar once it's ingested, making you crave more. Not only that, but multigrain chips are typically higher in fat and cholesterol than your run-of-the-mill corn chips. Plus, they're an unfriendly snack option for your gluten-free friends because of the hidden flour. If you're really going to snack on chips and salsa, then just do yourself a favor and go with regular old corn chips. By the way, this rule also applies to anything else that touts itself as multigrain, including multigrain bread. Let's face it, bread is bread. Whether it's white, rye, or multigrain, too much of it is just not that great for you. Remember when we said these unhealthy foods would try and trick you? Well, multigrain is one of the greatest food tricksters out there, so beware.
Multigrain. That's marketing. That's marketing. That multigrain and wheat bread misleads customers. We need to look for the true science. 100% whole grain. Look for that as the first ingredient. And those breads retain that bran and germ, as I said earlier, providing more fiber and protein and nutrients than the refined alternatives. Sprouted grain. Sprouting increases nutrient availability and reduces anti-nutrients that can interfere with mineral absorption. These breads, often have a lower glycemic impact. And then you got some specialty options like Ezekiel bread. I love it. That's what I buy. And oat-based breads typically contain minimal ingredients without the preservatives or the added sugars and provide sustained energy without blood sugar spikes. Beyond processed snacks. Instead of protein bars, come on, let's look for some alternatives. Boiled eggs plus fruit, apple plus nut butter, do-it-yourself protein balls. Combine your oats and your nut butter, seeds, and dates. Instead of low-fat muffins, homemade banana oat muffins, nuts and berries. I promise you, I use ChatGPT. You can Google, and you can find recipes for anything that you want to find a recipe for.
What could be unhealthy about a smoothie? It's made with fruit and other natural ingredients, right? Well, that depends. If you make a smoothie at home, you can control the ingredients that go into it. However, when you purchase a ready-made smoothie, you're greatly decreasing the chances that your smoothie is as healthy as you think it is. Some smoothies are made with regular, unhealthy ice cream and are also loaded with extra sugar. And what's the purpose of choosing a supposedly healthy smoothie made with ice cream when you could just enjoy a cup of ice cream, an ice cream cone, or a milkshake?
So if you're going to do it healthy, you just do it healthy, make it yourself. Otherwise, substituting one for the other, just know what you're doing. So instead of the store-bought smoothies, commercial smoothies, because they all of them contain hidden sugars, preservatives, artificial ingredients that sabotage your health goals. Creating your own nutrient-dense alternatives gives you complete control That's what it's about. Complete control. Do it yourself. Get your blender, open it up, and put your fruits with your greens in there, your unsweetened almond milk or nutrition boosters like chia or flaxseed. Add a scoop of clean protein powder, and you've got you a complete meal replacement. Green Energy Blend. Combine nutrient-dense kale or spinach with naturally sweet bananas and creamy nut butter for balanced macronutrients. This combination provides sustained energy without the sugar crash of commercial options.
Veggie burgers.
Look at me, I'm saving the earth. Where's my Nobel Prize?
Disclaimer, there's nothing wrong with being a vegetarian. If you're still getting the right amount of protein, then good on you. Being a vegetarian is a great way to avoid some of the unhealthier aspects of meat, on top of all the other reasons one might be vegetarian. However, foods that are considered vegetarian are not always healthy. Think about it for a minute. Are French fries vegetarian? Absolutely. Are they healthy? Absolutely not. What about the vegetarian products you can get in the freezer section, you might be asking? Sure, those veggie burgers seem like they'd be healthy. They do, after all, have the word veggie right in the name. Don't be fooled, though. While those unattractive patties may contain some vegetables, often chunks of peas and carrots, they are visibly stuck in a big, grayish-brown mass. Well, what is that mass made of? You already know it isn't meat, so what exactly is it? Well, it's usually a collection of fillers and other unnatural things used to hold everything together. While it might be low in fat, it's very high in carbohydrates, probably even higher than the bun you're eating it on. If you really need to have a veggie burger, try to make your own. You can create a really great burger substitute using mushrooms, and there are plenty of great methods and recipes out there for doing it. After all, homemade is always better anyway.
Homemade is always better anyway. And so we've got alternatives instead of that highly processed meat alternatives. See, because a lot of store-bought plant-based meats contain ingredients like methylcellulose, excessive sodium, artificial flavors. These highly processed foods often undermine the health benefits of a plant-based diet. Whole food alternatives provide superior nutrition with complete proteins, fiber, and essential micronutrients that support your body's optimal functioning without the unwanted additives. A legume-based burger. Create your own patties using black beans, lentils, or chickpeas. Mix with whole food binders like oats or quinoa. Look for clean ingredient commercial options with recognizable ingredients when you're short on time. And then incorporate grilled tempeh or tofu, marinated in herbs and spices for traditional protein alternatives. But check the labels carefully for sodium content and avoid brands with unnecessary fillers or preservatives.
When you go to the market now, it'll say plant-based, but I read labels. When I turn it on the back and look at the label, I'm like, half of that ain't plants. How can this be plant-based? The trickery that they put in the system now, how they deviled up food and convinced us that we're eating healthy, but we're not eating healthy, and we don't understand that the damage that we're doing to our bodies. So many symptoms, like we pacify them. I got a headache, headache is normal. But you don't have a Excedrin deficiency, you got a problem. Like that's your body telling you something is wrong.
And usually what's wrong is we've got too many toxins in our body. So that's why we need to detoxify. And in closing, every single person should detox their body at least a couple of times a year. Some detoxes like this 4-day, we're starting to do this one every month, once a month, just to boost the digestion and regulate your appetite and those cravings that you got, right? Your liver detox, the fat soluble toxins, get them out. Alkalize the body. We need an alkaline body. Disease can't dwell in an alkaline environment. And then maybe do 7 days, or maybe do 21 days once a year or twice a year. But you've got to do something to get the toxins out because we've been doing the wrong thing. We're just learning. And so it's easy just to boil 40 ounces of water, drop a tea bag in there for the bitters detox. Now, it doesn't taste good, but it gets the job done, right? And you get back with the person that led you to this, showed you this, loved you enough to steer you in the right direction today. And hopefully we will not be bamboozled and hoodwinked and everything else about these healthy options that we think are healthy, that they may not be so healthy. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Time to tell the truth.